There was a strange time where having a small phone was actually bad. Look at the mini versions of the Samsung phones and you'll see a lot of corners were cut. But then Samsung made the S10e and there were no corners cut. No real changes from the S10 series besides the S10 Lite, which got different cameras and somehow gained an extra software update, even though they all had the same processor. Regardless, let me take you down memory lane with the Samsung Galaxy S10e. Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review here with the Samsung S10e with one that I plan on keeping and another I will give away one day. More on that later. Now, let's see what it's like using the phone in the first place. The specs for this phone don't actually matter and would sound depressing if I told you, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is a solid phone, and sure, it has a Snapdragon 855 chip, 6GB of expandable RAM, and 128GB of built-in storage that is also expandable. But that's not what makes this phone great. It's not the flat but not 1080p 5.8-inch OLED panel that runs at 60Hz and has some questionable screen bezels and chin. It's not the Wi-Fi 6 support, Bluetooth 5.0, and 4G LTE only support, or the stereo speakers and fingerprint scanner in the power button. It's definitely not the fact that Android 12 with a March 2023 security patch is the end of the line for this phone. Instead, you'll buy this phone because you just love it. This phone is 6 years old, and even nostalgia can't change that. That being said, still, somehow a very usable phone. The processor is still going strong, but just like that 60Hz display, there are some frame drops for sure. Gaming at max settings is doable, but definitely not recommended. This phone gets hot when gaming and still warm with normal usage after about 10 minutes or so, and that's after a new battery. Yes, this needed a new battery, as not only was it old, but it was also bloating. Surprisingly, this battery is not that good. Sure, all-day battery life is normal, and not a shocker, but even with a new battery, my phone would end at 70% or under, and that was with less than 30 minutes of screen on time. This 3100 mAh battery cell is small, and there's not really anything that can change that. We do get 15 watts of wired charging and wireless charging, the latter that I truly can't confirm speed-wise, but we do get reverse wireless charging, which always impresses me and confuses me because, again, 3100 mAh battery. All of this makes sense because the size of the phone, being small even back when this phone came out. What doesn't make sense is the microSD card slot and the headset jack. Back when the phone came out in 2019 it made sense, but in 2025, it's a welcomed addition. Ironically, I ended up using the headset jack a decent amount when I was using this phone, and I actually enjoyed that it was here. It's definitely better than the Xperia 1's headset jack that I just used recently, or at least it's louder. The small size, 150 gram weight, headset jack, and memory card slot are all nice things to have here, but Android 12? I would love to see at least Android 14, but this is what we're left with. That said, there isn't really too much that I'm missing from this. But one thing I did notice is that the keyboard really sucks for the auto replace and autocorrect, often replacing correctly spelled words and leaving some misspelled. This might be a small screen issue though, as I'm not really used to this size as of late. I do love the light feel of the phone, and the screen is larger for the size, so this results in a pleasant experience. Even content viewing is not that bad, though the camera hole seems pretty large. The one thing this phone is missing is AI features from the S22 and newer, but really, you're not missing out on much. Now the cameras are an interesting one, again not being cut or changed even for the size. There is a sensor missing, obviously, but the cameras are all the same as the normal S10 series phones, except for the S10 Lite again. The front camera is a 10 megapixel sensor that is focusable, something that shows its age, but also is impressive for the focusability. You can even do 4K 60 frames per second video on this, something some modern flagships still choose not to do. It's a good camera, but has that Samsung warmth and low light heavy editing. The back houses two cameras, one of them being a 16 megapixel ultra-wide camera. While not terrible, it's still not the best out there, clearly being a fixed focus, but also a nice addition to the main camera. There's no 60 frames per second video option on this camera at all, so 4K 30 is the max for video on the ultra-wide. But also, why no 60 frames per second at all? Then we have the 12 megapixel main camera that is optically stabilized, standard, but it has a variable aperture at f1.5 and f2.4. In theory, this will help give you sharper images when given the light and brighter images when there's less light, and while that's true, okay, Like the S9, you won't see any game-changing performance because of this, but it was nice to see that Samsung tried this for 2 years and then settled with an f1.8 on the newer Samsung phones, giving up on the whole variable aperture, which technically should just be called dual aperture. That being said, obviously the newer phones have larger sensors with more megapixels, but yes, the Samsung S10e has ultimately the same camera set as the Samsung S10. Just without the telephoto sensor. We also get acceptable 4K 60 frames per second video on here, but I know you just want to see more pictures, so here you go. Enjoy. There's only 3 camera sensors on here, but I think Samsung did a great job on this. Given the price, I get why they didn't, but a telephoto camera would have fit on this $749 new phone. Instead, you had to pay $900 for the S10's telephoto sensor. But hey, we do get a decently bright flash and laser autofocus. I honestly can't recommend this phone. While it's perfectly fine to own, it's hard for me to actually tell someone to go spend $100 plus on this phone. That being said, there's not really much out there. The 1-year newer iPhone 12 mini is a good phone for the price, but it's not Android and definitely doesn't have a headset jack or a memory card slot. Even the more expensive Asus Zenfone 9 is only 2 software updates newer, doesn't have an SD card slot, and costs a decent amount more, if you can even find them in the first place. Somehow, the S10e is the perfect and worst type of phone to buy, in my eyes at least. That said, I can argue that it's not terrible. The design of the phone is timeless and pretty funny to see a Bixby button. It's also ironic how the fingerprint scanner and the power button is a budget phone move, but it's honestly the best placement. This phone is not perfect, and it wasn't made to be perfect, but instead, this is a classic. It also looks awesome in the green color. Nothing about this phone stands out. The Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and the back, headset jack, IP68 dust and water resistance, which is definitely gone by now. None of that is impressive anymore. But for those that find it impressive, you won't be disappointed. This is considered a cult classic, and it's not because people are being cheap or don't want to upgrade. It's because not a lot of companies are doing all of this in one, that being a small phone, headset jack, memory card slot, and just being good in general. Sony gets close, but it's definitely not small. Heck, even Samsung doesn't even have any sequels to this phone. Maybe because no one will buy it, or maybe because this would be their favorite phone and no one would want to upgrade, which is exactly what this phone does to people. And that's my review of the Samsung Galaxy S10e, the people's choice for compact phones. I plan on doing a giveaway for this phone, as I have 2 of them, and I'll be doing a video of that in the future. The goal is after a certain sub count, I'll just give this away, maybe 50,000. I haven't decided that part yet. For now, just keep watching future videos. I gotta figure out all the legal stuff that my state will force me to do just so that I can give you something. Anyways, look forward to that. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.